and I want to push it, but I also can't kill.
Oh, yeah, we sure are touching.
Okay. Now we're climbing with both front tires. I am able to two-fit it, which is nice. That's a nice surprise. This is supposedly the ultimate off-road Toyota or Lexus, the new LX700h Overtrail. This is the 300 series Land Cruiser so many of you have been asking for. And Case, what are we doing with it today?
Today we have it at Ram Off-Road Park here in Colorado Springs to test out if it's actually any good off-road.
Let's go hit it. Case, this is a really exciting video, I think, for a lot of people and myself as well, because this is one of the biggest surprises of the year. I mean, we all knew that the GX was going to get the off-road treatment.
Yeah.
But the fact that Lexus did it on the big brother LX was pretty surprising.
And it's cool because this has some pretty serious underpinnings for a 4x4.
That's right. This is a 300 series Land Cruiser underneath the skin. And as such, it has a tremendous amount of off-road gear, not only software, but a mechanical front and rear locking differential.
Yeah, which is a huge deal in the Toyota lineup because there's nothing else that you can find with the front locker as well.
And I was talking to a product guy a while ago, and this guy said that Toyota would never ever offer a front locker, and yet they did, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do one thing: open up the sunroof.
Nice.
And then let's kind of engage some modes here. So I'm going to go into neutral, and then we're going to stick it into four-wheel drive low.
Yeah, so it's a full-time four-wheel drive system. So we're already in four-wheel drive driving around normally. Now we're into low range.
Yep, and then I can go into the drive mode here. Sorry, the multi-terrain select, and cycle through a couple different settings. We're gonna go into the rock setting because that's what we're gonna be dealing with today.
And that should be the most aggressive.
Yep, and then we can also use downhill assist and crawl control if we need it. So for example, we're facing down this really steep hill right now. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna set it into the second to lowest setting and then let the vehicle crawl down.
Yeah, and we also have a few camera views here, which is nice. That's useful because the hood on this is pretty tall. From where we're sitting, it's a little difficult to see what you're driving over.
Dude, pretty tall is the understatement of a century. It's like trying to peer over a skyscraper. So you can see we actually have a pretty cool little inclinometer here that shows us our degrees. And this little screen also shows us the height of our adjustable suspension. Now the LX doesn't use air suspension. It actually uses a hydraulic suspension, which is pretty funky.
Yeah, and that's a cool little bit of engineering. I also like the dual screen layout here in the center stack. It looks really sharp.
Now we're going to approach our first obstacle here, and as excited as I am about this vehicle from an off-road standpoint, there are a couple of things I'm very worried about when we start getting into the deep stuff. So we're going to talk about some of those now. So Case, there are a few things on this Lexus which make me a little bit nervous from an off-road standpoint, starting with the bumper.
Absolutely, because if you look especially around the side, it is a nicely and beautifully painted bumper all the way down here. And I gotta say, even with the suspension jacked up as high as it goes, this is not that far off the ground.
That's a great point. Now, Lexus has incorporated skid plates under the front end of this vehicle, which is great. But if you are planning on wheeling your LX, be prepared to get this plastic pretty dinged up.
Yeah, and that's something that'll probably, for the hardcore off-roaders, need to get addressed in the aftermarket.
Now, when we look at the wheel and tire package, Lexus has done a really nice job here. So this is an 18-inch wheel with a Toyo Open Country AT tire. And the size on this case?
It's a 33 and pretty aggressive. So this is something that I think is going to work pretty well for us today. But another potential issue is that running board.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I kind of wish for the Top Dog Overtrail that Lexus would have replaced the step with an actual rock slider to give us some more protection, because any kind of contact with rocks, and this is once again not going to be looking so good.
We are going to air down the tires here on the LX, and to do so we've got our Thor's Lightning kit. This is pretty cool because we hook up to all four tires at once and we air them all down at once. And we do the same thing when we air back up. You just hook this into a compressor and you can do them all at the same time.
So Case, our first obstacle, rock and roll.
Yeah, this is a great test of breakover angle, and I really don't expect that today we're going to struggle very much with traction because we've got good tires and we have all the lockers. I think our biggest crux is going to be angles.
Now, Toyota says that the LX700H has 8.1 inches of ground clearance, which sounds very minimal, but it's worth noting they're measuring that based off the rear diff. So on the center of the vehicle, it should be higher. Now, in rock mode, we've also selected the high 2, right?
Yep.
And let's see if we can clear this.
We've got crawl control active right now, which is pretty cool.
I've actually turned it off for that bit.
Oh yeah, yeah, I don't blame you.
So that was great. So we were able to get through that. No problem. This next one, though, I think is going to be a little bit of a bigger problem, right?
Exactly. This is a pretty sharp crest on this hill. We typically bottom out just about everything we take over this. I don't think we're going to have any different luck here.
The engine is just turned off, by the way, so we're crawling in electricity only. This is a hybrid.
It's going to kick back on once we get. Yep.
Yep. There it goes.
No.
Yeah. This Overtrail is only available in the hybrid configuration, which we'll talk about in a second if we can clear this crest. Let's see, are we going to scrape $116,000?
Yeah, I think we're touching there.
You want to poke your head out the window?
Yeah, let me jump out and see how we're doing.
The problem is this is not our car, and I want to push it, but I also can't kill.
Oh, yeah, we sure are touching.
Okay.
Yeah, I just opened the door and the ground, not too far away.
Okay.
Do you want me to get out and try to progress up it, or do you just want to back it down?
See how bad it's looking. This is the problem, is we're already scraping these nice side steps.
We go on the side step.
And we're at the max height.
It's not crunching or anything, so it's just dirt. Yeah, okay.
All right, okay, not bad. Not bad. So I was being a little, maybe too cautious there. We were able to get up it, but that is something that I think Lexus needs to address, is at this price point, with this capability level, give us some actual rocker protection and not just side steps. This video is brought to you by our friends over at Onyx Off-Road. If you're looking at buying an LX700H Overtrail and you want to know where to take it, Onyx Off-Road will show you the best spots in your area, or in any area really. You know what you're to expect, what you're getting into, what the trails look like, and what other users have experienced, and it integrates with CarPlay. Onyx Off-Road, thanks so much for sponsoring this video, and check out the link below for a discount. I've made a critical error. I've lost the camera. Do you know where the button is?
The camera button?
Go multi-terrain select.
Yeah. There are kind of a lot of buttons on the dash, aren't there?
There's so many buttons on the dash.
There's someone who knows that is just screaming at their phone.
They're like, it's right there, you idiot. Here we go.
Cool.
Got it. So, Case, walk us through the horsepower and torque specs on this Lexus.
Well, we have a 3.4 liter V6 paired up with, of course, turbos and the hybrid system. And that gets us a pretty impressive output, 457 horsepower. Not a bad number. Really impressive though, 583 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, and they've done such a good job with the off-road programming and low range of not making it feel jerky or busy in any way.
No, and you also get a lot of control when you've got actual lockers, selectable lockers, let you take things very slowly with a lot of intention and a lot of control. The thing that I'm a little worried about here though is before we were on a soft dirt hill, so running out of clearance, not such a big deal. Now we're over rock.
Do you mind hopping out?
Yeah.
Making sure
already getting a little
nervous.
Spicy, yeah.
I'm gonna see if we have the clearance to get over these bumps.
Real slow.
Oh no!
You're good.
So we're gonna start to climb now. We're in the highest off-road height, pitching it sideways. Now we're climbing with both front tires. I am able to two-fit it, which is nice. That's a nice surprise.
Still looking good.
All right, nice, Case. Thank you, dude. All right. Not bad.
Stop, Tommy.
Sweet. Yeah, that 2-foot control is excellent, and no traction loss there on that grippy surface. I say we go onward. Kind of an embarrassing pause here. While Case tells you the price of this vehicle, I'm going to go into the owner's manual and figure out how to turn off the parking sensors, because I've been playing with it now for about 27 hours and haven't figured it out.
There's absolutely a way to turn them off. but they don't make it super easy or user-friendly to figure out how. And funny enough, you would think that in an off-road mode with your lifted up height and in low range and everything, it should automatically turn off all these proximity sensors.
Well, they are called intuitive parking assist.
And intuitive it is.
And I am not parking right now.
But price, Tommy, $116,760 for this vehicle as tested.
Okay, here we go. So I go settings on the main menu, select vehicle customize,
which we've been in before.
and then we're going to go into select vehicle customize or driving assist, select the item to change the setting from the list on off. Well, that's not useful. Heads up display, meter, illumination, boarding, height control, custom drive mode, utility, ACC, collision mitigation, run traffic, driver support, off.
We'll see if that does anything.
It might do nothing.
Yeah.
Let's do some more stuff. Now, a couple things I am impressed with this Lexus. Typically, on a height adjustable vehicle with air suspension,
yeah,
when you jack it to the topmost height, the suspension gets incredibly firm because you run out of down travel, essentially. You're topping out the suspension.
But we've been really impressed with how comfortable this LX has been, even in its tallest height. The other thing that I've been impressed with is actually how well we've been doing with our angles so far, because I thought we were going to be much more severely limited in the obstacles we could pick and choose to drive over by this front bumper and by these running boards.
No, I mean, to its credit, you're right, it's doing a lot better than I expected, because when you look at the face, you're like, wow, that's a lot of plastic. But then now that we're out here on some of these hills, it's actually navigating them quite nicely. Now, Case and I both feel this is an immensely large vehicle for the kind of stuff we're doing today.
Yeah, it's big, it's heavy, and it's got a big price tag. So everything that we're doing with an extreme level of caution.
That's exactly right. So, Case, we're going up this narrow channel right now in this LX700.
Yeah.
And we've got this pretty aggressive little hill climb. You want to hop out, make sure we're not going to bury the nose?
Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend. But the tires air down right now. The ride is incredible. And it's so quiet in here, I have to put the windows down just to hear if I'm scraping on anything, because I can't hear any of the bodywork getting scraped or hung up on with the windows up, which is craziness. That's how quiet and well insulated it is in here. Okay. Case is doing a great job spotting me right now, keeping these running boards off the rocks.
Go slow. Yeah, stop. We're gonna have to go more drivers.
Really?
Yeah, it would have been a room over here, but it's running out of room on this side.
Okay. Full brakes, full brakes. And this is a heavy beast for what we're doing with it today. It's gonna look like nothing on camera, but it's actually pretty advanced stuff we're doing. And we might need a locker here as we're getting more and more articulated. Come on, Lexus! Climb that 3.4 liter turbo power! Really good control with this engine. Nice, Case. Thank you, buddy. There we go. A little bit of wheel slip, but then the traction control intervened. Let's climb on up out of this ravine here. Sweet! So we do want to try these locking diffs. So you want to take the camera, Case, and show them the process here? So we've got 3 locking diffs. We've got a center locking diff here, which you can engage by pushing in on this button. Yep, parking brake support off.
They almost kind of hid your other lockers, but there they are.
Where's the little indicator here? The number of lights and switches, from my point of view right now, is truly unbelievable. And it's telling me information I really just don't care about. And then it's not giving me the information I do care about. Like, why is my center diff not engaging? Maybe it engages automatically in, oh, there it is. It's over here on the left. So that's gonna blink at us.
And once again, the engagement
Of Toyota products just drives me up the wall.
So a lot of times,
we got it.
There we go.
So what about let's see if you have to do it in order. Can you do the front locker without the rear? No, I think you gotta do rear first. Okay, well that said that locked immediately, which would be awesome. What about the front? Oh, come on. Hello? Come on.
Are you still in sand mode, or did you go?
No, I'm in rock mode. Oh, now it's blinking.
Flashing.
Okay. Please let me drive you triple locked. It's all I've ever wanted to do was drive a Land Cruiser with 3 lockers, and I've never been able to, and now I can, and you're not turning on? Triple locked. Okay, so now we should be able to make this really sharp kind of bend here. Get some wheel lift action. And there you go, you can see as we transition there, it is in fact triple locked. So pretty good. So, well, the engagement is slow, but once you are in it, it does in fact work.
Yeah, I think aside from some of the angles on this that are not as good as we would like them to be, the biggest crux with this vehicle is how unintuitive some of the off-road features and turning off some of the on-road features while you're off-roading, like the proximity warning and everything. It's not as intuitive as I would like it to be. I think if you own one of these vehicles and you spend enough time in it, you could get used to how you do all those different functions. But for us, only testing this out for a week or so.
Yeah, it's a little fussy. And the other thing I do want to give them a lot of credit for is the articulation is surprisingly good. With the, oh, interesting, look at this case. I have actually figured out you can do front locker without the rear locker. I think that's the only modern vehicle I've ever seen.
What about the Bronco Sasquatch?
No, that you have to do rear first and then front as well. Oh, that's pretty cool. Look, you can see it here. We actually have the front and the center locked, but not the rear. So that's kind of cool, actually. No, look, Case, I think you're right. Like, it's a fuss. We've had kind of a fussy experience with this car. I think if you lived with it, you would come to terms with the sheer number of buttons. But if you get it in the right mode with the right settings and the right programming, the articulation feels good, and the just kind of some of the control that it gives you is excellent. Apart from just that low front end, this could be very impressive off-road.
Yeah, a lot of the fundamentals are there. They've sorted out some of the most important things, like how the suspension feels and having these lockers and some of the different features that you really need to have. So if in the aftermarket you could do a different bumper setup and maybe some rock sliders, then you could turn one of these into an absolute beast.
Absolute beast. I love that. So my LX700H Overtrail takeaway, a very impressive platform that could be made to be incredible, but as it sits, it's a little compromised and it's definitely not a rock crawler. Not that it's supposed to be, but it's just a little too big and ungainly for that.
Even so, in stock form, I think we were pleasantly surprised. It surpassed our expectations for what it was going to be able to do. So a pretty fun rig to get out here on the trail, very comfortable, very nice to drive. But like you said, I think with some aftermarket support, it could be really good.
Well, folks, let us know what you think in the comments section below. This has been Tommy.
In Case,
Head over to alltfl.com where we got more off-road reviews for you.